Hey everybody, welcome back to the Mo Freegan channel. Good to see you. How you doing out there? I got some knives here. I got the Tenable Fenrir, I got Spyderco Smock, I got the Para 3. We're going to look at dyeing the scales. If you're interested in that, hang out. Let's go. All right, so I've been keeping my eye on the Fenrir offered by Concept and Tenable for a while. I thought it was a really cool looking knife. I like a little bit, fancier knife from Concept, designed by Greg Shube. He works for the Coast Guard. I'm a huge fan of the knife. Didn't come all black, so waiting for the Tenable version to come out. Tenable comes out with a button lock version of it. All right, yes. None of them are black. None of them are totally black. And I thought, I could get it and then dye it, but could never pull the trigger on it. I'm kind of glad I didn't, because then they came out with the crossbar lock. I'm not super interested in that. But then they came out with a new batch, this brand new batch, and they had a plunge lock Tenable Fenrir that was all black. Well, it had dark gray micarta. That's fine. But at the same time, they came out with top liner lock Fenrirs. So, Tenable, what are you doing to me? Why didn't you just come out with all top liner locks? Why would you do some plunges and some top liner locks? This is crazy. This is crazy. So I didn't end up getting the all black plunge lock version. I got one of the top liner lock versions, but they didn't have one that was all black. So I got the purple micarta scaled one. Everything's black on it but the purple micarta. I've dyed purple micarta before. It dyes perfectly great black. So we're going to do that. I also have two Spyderco knives. I have a Spyderco Para 3 that's in mint green M4, the Blade HQ exclusive. I'm going to see if those will dye black. Just in case they don't, I have ATN aftermarket scales that we can put on it. I'm probably going to put those on anyway, but I'm curious if it'll dye black. And then I also have another smock that was like Stormtrooper with white G10 scales and black M4 blade. And so I got some G10 scale, but then I liked the white scales so much that I kept it, and I got some aftermarket G10 scales, and I'm going to dye black. Okay, so we have those to dye black. But then those punks over at Spyderco came out with a smock in crew wear, all black, aluminum scales. So I had to get that one. Let's go over to the table. Let's do some dyeing to take some knives apart. Let's go. All right, first up we have the Tenable Fenrir. Let's get it out of the box. Like I said, I got it in purple micarta. What do you think of that? So for $65 about, you get Nitro V steel, harpoon style blade, 3.4 inch blade, black wash, purple micarta handle. Like I said, the handle's 4.41 inches, total length 7.89 inches. It's fairly heavy at 4.14 ounces. Reversible deep carry pocket clip. Let's see the action on this thing. Yeah, that's good. Top liner lock. Yep. Excellent. Oh, wow. That's actually the near perfect detent. You can reverse flick it. It doesn't hurt your thumb. It doesn't hurt your finger that much. Yep, I'm a fan of the action. All right, let's get it apart and we can dye the scales. You've seen me unbox this one before. This is the Para 3 lightweight, like I said, M4. Compression lock, mint green FRN. This is the Blade HQ exclusive. Got it down on sale for $120. 3-inch M4 blade, clip point, flat grind, black finish. Handles 4.25 inches. Reversible tip-up carry wire clip, made in the USA. Golden, Colorado. So here's the smock. This is the one I was talking about. This has the white G10 scales. It's S35B, modified worn cliff, 3.39 inches, hollow grind, thumb hole opening, button compression lock, reversible Spyderco tip-up carry. There's the back side. Handles 4.53 inches, 3.64 ounces, made in Taiwan. Here it is next to the Spyderco Para 3, lightweight, and the Tenable Fenrir. And also, I forgot to mention that I want to dye the scales on this Pyrite-light ARSFII, the AR-SFII version. Didn't come blacked out. Came with these brown scales. So we're going to be dyeing these scales. We're going to be dyeing these scales. We're going to be dyeing these scales. I'm not going to take this one apart because I already have the scales off of it. So we'll be dyeing these scales. And then once we get the scales dyed, we'll take it apart. Let's get to it. Let's go with this one. Let's get some, you know what we should do? We should get some Ziplocs so we have stuff to put all this stuff once we take it apart. And we should tape the blades. All right, let's tape some blades. I prefer blue, but I guess we don't have any. Okay, now we can take them apart. T8s all around. There's my T8. Here's my old Hoto that I think the T8 isn't stripped out, but the T6 is. And we'll just captive pivot so I don't have to hold the other side. Even my Weeha T6 is a little stripped out. T6s are the worst. Let's get rid of T6s. But I bought here's what you gotta do. This is what is crazy, is that you just have to buy a whole bag of T6s. T6s are the worst. And they were in so much harder than the T8s. Why? Pivot out. Stop pin built into the blade. Scales, we'll get those cleaned up with some alcohol before we put them in the dye, but I think those are going to turn out just fine. Let's see if my prediction is true, that the back will turn out a little more dark and the front will turn out a little more light, just because it's already showing that in the micarta itself. Can you see that? Okay, let me get a plastic bag and we can keep the parts together. Cool. We have the blade. That's another good reason to tape the blade. When you put it in these, we got a screwed in back pin. You know what, actually I do like that. I know Metal Complex says, why do you have to screw it in? It's because they fall out when you're trying to put your knives back together. Clip and the two T6s. I think we got everything. Next up, we'll do the Para 3 lightweight. That's a T8. That's bigger than a T8. What is going on? All right, the clip is T8. This screw is a T8. It's not turning. Yep, it does. Okay, T8. This is a stop pin. It's T6 stop pin. That's so weird. Just make that one T8 too. Take out the pivot. It's interesting. All the screws were on the show side. Don't you think that's interesting? And we just have the compression lock just as a single piece in the back. Interesting. Let's see if that'll die. It has to screw out. Captive pivot. Inside captive pivot. Both ends have to screw out. The pin has to screw out on this side too. I need some jaws of life. Luckily these are internal and nobody's gonna see me mar them up if I gnar them up. I try to get some. That's how it's captive pivoted. It has a little wrench on that side of it. Okay, those are easier to get in than out because because you can screw one end in. Kind of hold it in there. Okay, and then we'll dye that one. See if it will at least. One more to go for now before we start dyeing. Awesome, T8s again. The Pyrite-light AR-SFII. See, this one makes more sense to me. The non-show side is the side that has the screws that can unscrew. That makes a little more sense to me. T6s. There's the button lock spring. Don't lose that. Stop pin isn't screwed in, so it can come out and fly around and be hard to put back in later. I'll keep my tools in this Lockbee tool roll. Let's just clean them off with some alcohol. Just so we're starting off with best possible, get all the grease off of it, get the bonding that we can. So this is me just cleaning off just wiping them down with alcohol. I really haven't, none of these knives are used. It's not like, I mean, this would be more important if you had used these knives quite a bit, but I haven't. These are brand new knives, but they still have oils and things on them, but mostly on the inside where I'm not worried about the dye penetrating as much. All right. We have a hot plate that I purchased from Amazon. I've used this a bunch, it works great. So now I have my Rit Dye DyeMore synthetic graphite. And look, it's not black. And if you look at their website, it's like, yeah, I do black, add on this color and that color and this and that. It's not quite enough. So I need to add some water to it. I have some distilled water here that we're going to use. I haven't used distilled water in the past, but probably a good idea. I've also used acetone in the past, which was not great. I don't think I've done it with and without it, and it hasn't made any difference. Boil up this water, this DyeMore dye, DyeMore synthetic. We're watching water boil now, folks. Now, it's starting to boil now. In the past, I've used wire on these and then hooked them on the edge of the pot. I've also just thrown them in, and it's just a lot easier just to throw them in. So we'll be doing that. There is a temperature you're going for. It doesn't necessarily have to be boiling. I think I can start putting them in. So first we'll put in these G10 Smock scales. We'll just drop those in. These micarta ones are going to be the best. The purple micarta from the Tenable Fenrir. Oh, there it starts to boil now. We'll just start turning it down a little bit. I'm curious if these ones will dye. These are the FRN from the Pyrite-light, and these are the FRN from the Spyderco Para 3. The Pyrite-light's going to die. Because I dyed some purple before. We'll get those out and show you. The only ones I guess the only ones I don't know for sure is the Spyderco. Anybody timing this? That's not making me hopeful for those green ones. But none of them have really picked up too much color yet, so maybe it's just too early. Just keep it stirred up so they're getting coated in there without having to, let's just let them sit for a bit. G10 is a little finicky. I feel like when I've done micarta and G10 in the past, they've picked it up faster than this, but that brown is getting pretty dark. They're all going about what I thought they'd be. I thought the micarta would take it the best, which is probably true, but that Pyrite-light is taking it a little bit better. The G10's taking it slowly but surely, which I knew was going to be the worst. Now the only question is, where's that mint green Spyderco? There it is. Oh yeah. See if I can grab that one alone on the bottom. Pyrite-light FRN took it like crazy. G10's taking it slower, which is what I knew would happen because that's how all my G10 go. My prediction was off in that the Spyderco FRN is taking it really well. I still think they could go a little darker. Let's try a little bit more on the G10 ones. All right, that's the FRN from the Pyrite-light, and it's looking pretty dang good. I'm trying to wipe it off as much as the dye as I can with alcohol, and it looks like it's all staying on, so those were successfully dyed. That's the FRN from the Pyrite-light. The one I thought would be the best is the micarta from the Tenable Fenrir. Is a little more porous and takes on the dye a little bit better and anything else, but look how dark that looks. And this is what I did to all of them. I just took the alcohol wipe, wiped them down, got off any of that excess dye, because if you don't get it off, then it'll get on your hands and stuff as you start using it in your clothes. So that's the other. Damn it. All right, let's move this handle over here maybe. Look at this, those Para 3 scales. Those came out great. Those look fantastic. The Spyderco Para 3 FRN scales, lightweight. They came out looking pretty good compared to what they were mint green. So buy the Para 3 lightweight on sale. Let's see where we're at with the G10. All right, here's the G10. Here it is next to the, I think we're done. All right, and we're back of day 2. So I let these scales dry overnight. This is the G10 for the smock. I think that turned out pretty well. Feels pretty dry in my hand. Here's the Para 3 that were mint green. Those turned out way better than I thought. Those look great. Those turned out the best out of all, surprisingly to me. This FRN from the CJRB, that looks great. Then we're going to start off with the Fenrir micarta. That little bit of difference in the micarta from the front to the back did not affect the dye at all. Okay, let's put that back together. Let's grab my pieces and try to keep this organized to some extent. Just double check your bag and make sure you don't have any, and seal it up just in case you did miss one. You're not going to let it fly across the room. All right, my battery died in the middle of that, but basically I got it back together. There's the final. I got to put the pocket clip back on it, I guess, but there's the action. Blade is centered. I got a blacked out Fenrir now. I'm going to clean off that masking tape residue with some alcohol. We never cut anything with this one. Ooh, we got some histology. This is a lung wedge resection. That's what histology looks like if you ever take a histology class. Yeah, it cuts. That's good. I'm a fan. All right, there's the blacked out top liner lock Fenrir. Blacked out micarta. You can compare that to the other one, the purple one. Maybe I can do a side by side on the screen. But I think that turned out pretty great. Okay, one down. Let's do the Para 3 next. I'm not going to put these black scales back on it. I'm going to save these, and for my son's Para 3, if he doesn't want the mint green, he can have these black ones. But I think those turned out fantastic. So if you end up getting that M4 Blade HQ exclusive Para 3 lightweight with the mint green scales, and you don't want to go for these ATN aluminum Cerakoted scales, then you can dye your mint green scales black and have a Para 3 lightweight M4 for a discount. This side came with a little triangle shape. I don't know if you could see that, the triangle shape there. I'm assuming that's the side that goes with the captive pivot side, but it doesn't seem like it wants to quite slide in there. Yeah, there it goes. I'm just trying to adjust it to get it to be able to, or at least a wrist flick. Well, to get action I like on it, I have to leave it a little loosey-goosey up here. Too many points to adjust that would affect it. It's not just the pivot. But that one little twist is the difference between it'll close or it won't close. Challenging, but I love the look of that. Wow. That looks amazing. That's with the ATN aluminum scales. Pyrite. This one is the one that has the AR-SFII steel. And the button's always the hardest part. And this pin. I know Metal Complex says, why do you screw in those pins? Just let them float around. But when you're trying to take a knife apart and that pin keeps falling out, it drives you freaking crazy. Oh my gosh, these always drive me freaking crazy. All right. Can I get this in there? Now I gotta get the pin in. See, like, I don't think Metal Complex has enough button locks to where he's like, oh, why do you have to screw in this pin? Oh, the pin fell out. See? And button stick. That'll get better. That is a snappy D10 right there. I love it. I'm gonna keep that. Let's Loctite that in there. All right, so that's the after Pyrite-light AR-SFII blacked out. Wow, I'm really liking that quite a bit. Now this one has a secret spring and ball right here. Super annoying, right? T10, ladies and gentlemen. Mine's number 254. Oh, did you see it? Did you see it fall out? There's that little ball, and here's a little spring right there I was telling you about. Guess what we're going to do with those? I've done it before, but as far as the internet tells me, and even some people like the action better without it. Try to put this bad boy back together. Without that extra little D10 ball in there, I can tell from my other Spydercos that it wants to bounce out a little bit more. Let's get them all out here together. I'm a fan. Spyderco, hollow grind, Rex 45, laser beam. This is the AR-SFII. Cuts good. And the Spyderco in M4. Ooh! And the winner is Spyderco M4. Here are some other knives that I've modified over the years. Here's my son's Pyrite-light that I dyed purple. So that turned out really well. It was initially white, and I got it on a really good deal on Amazon for like $18 or something for AR PM9. This doesn't have the upgraded steel, but but it dyed purple. I don't know if you like that shade of purple. That's just Rit Dye purple. I think that turned out pretty great. This one I bought at Blade Show West 2024. I didn't realize that these were going to come out in a blacked out. I had never seen this before. This is the Riot PLXE. It has a pivot lock, but they had a green, and I said, oh, I can dye that. It's green micarta, and I dyed it with Rit Dye, just like the rest of these. I like this knife actually quite a bit. I'm actually a big fan of that knife. One of my most successful dyes is the Kaiser Sheepdog full size. Came in a button lock, which I have to have, much like the Fenrir, but it didn't come in black with the button lock. So it did come in black. It said black micarta, but when you get black micarta, sometimes it's just a dark gray. So I dyed that one so it'd be black. So it's like a double black micarta sheepdog. I like that knife quite a bit. This is a pyrite alt. So it has more of the like Warney style blade or reverse Tonto or more of a utility shape, which I enjoy quite a bit. Didn't come in black. This is also micarta. It was green micarta, and that dyed up quite well as well. So that's the Pyrite-light that I dyed. My very first attempt at modifying knives was with this knife, which is still one of my favorite knives of all time, the Artisan Cutlery Andromeda. I just think this knife is great. And I have these three, but I also have two premium versions. I initially bought this one like this, and it comes with, they didn't have a blacked out one when I bought these, when I initially got these a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. They came with black coated blade and natural G10, and then they came with a black scale and a satin finish. So I took apart the two and made a Frankenstein one, and that's this one. This is natural G10 that I dyed black, and I think out of all the things I've dyed, this one came out the least. Rich dark black, and then that's acid etched, which I don't love, and so I'm planning on attempting another finish on that. So this is going to be a nice experiment knife for me. And then this is the one I use. It black G10 that came black G10. I don't know, you can put these side by side and you can see the difference in them. All right, this was one of my strangest dyes. I wanted this cormorant in S35VN. I wanted an upgraded steel, and I wanted it blacked out, and they didn't have a blacked out one. What's the closest thing they had that's S35 and black that had a black coating on the blade so that I didn't have to do the blade? Because you can see it's out of everything, dyeing black with Rit Dye is much easier than trying to get a blade darkened up, doing your own black wash. And the closest one that came is Serape. So you can see, I'm going to put a little picture of what it originally looked like. And it took 2 times. I had to dye it twice. But I think it turned out, you cannot see the lines in there. Oh man, maybe you just barely can in just the right light. You can see the Serape lines in there. But I think it turned out pretty dang great for what it looked like when it started out. All right, last thing for the table is I had a comment. One of my videos, I was having some issues with my RMX blackout. I had a really creaky button when I tried to put in the automatic. Let's put in the automatic. So right now, you can hear it really creaking. It's better. Still has a little bit of a creak though. Good suggestion. We're trying out. I think that did help. Putting it back in the box to give away. This is the one I'm giving away for my 100 subscriber video. So if you're interested in winning that at some point. But yeah, I got a little bit better action with just oiling up that button a little bit. It's a good knife. It's a good knife. Well, everybody, hope you enjoyed that video of how I like to Rit Dye my scales. And you can see how different scales dye differently. The micarta seems to pick up this dye the best and look the best, and then that FRN from that Pyrite-light was second, and then I'm surprised at how much the FRN from the Spyderco picked up. I mean, that one looked pretty dang good. And then the G10. But even that G10 looked great. That G10 ended up looking fantastic. All right, so if you like that one, like, subscribe. I got lots more coming. We can modify more knives. Let me know what you guys want me to do down there in the comments, okay? See you on the next one. Hot Pockets.